Thom Hartmann here on the news. You need to know this. President Obama smacked the president of Syria, Bashar Assad, with sanctions for his repeated human rights abuses and cracking down on anti-government protesters. Any assets within the U.S. belonging to Assad will be frozen, and it's now illegal for U.S. companies to do business with Assad. So far, more than 850 people have been killed by Assad's government in Syria since the uprisings began 2 months ago. And while our nation may be headed toward another war like we're fighting in Libya, the president is expected to make a major policy speech regarding the Middle East today. Hoping to take advantage of the recent populist uprisings in Tunisia and Egypt, the president is pledging billions in aid money and a new trade partnership with the two North African nations. The Middle East is a tinderbox right now, largely as a result of George W. Bush's illegal wars that are bankrupting our nation. Thankfully, Obama is a statesman, but in that region, that can only go so far. Keep an eye on this. Who's screwed? Artists. Besides the Republican war on women and the Republican war on the working class, there's a new war that's receiving some attention around the nation, the Republican war on art. As Think Progress noted, Republican lawmakers in Kansas, South Carolina, Arizona, Florida, New Hampshire, Virginia, Maine, and New Jersey are pushing legislation that cuts deep into school art budgets and public radio and television outlets. Governors Bob McDonnell in Virginia, Chris Christie in New Jersey, Paul LePage in Maine are cutting off funding and privatizing their state's public broadcasting networks, torching TV of, by, and for the people, and replacing it with corporate infotainment. These Republicans claim it's necessary to cut funding for the arts because of huge budget deficits, but in reality, these cuts are nickels and dimes compared to the amount of revenue that's wasted on tax cuts for transnational corporations and the uber-rich. I guess we're supposed to expect billionaire oligarchs like the Murdoch and the Koch brothers to fund our nation's art projects now. Expect postmodern anti-global warming to be the newest emerging art theme. In the best of the rest of the news, a 37-year-old Afghan detainee at Gitmo committed suicide yesterday. It's the prison's 8th death. It's unclear how the detainee died, but an investigation is currently underway. Of the previous 7 deaths at Gitmo, 5 were ruled suicides, 2 were chalked up to natural causes. And just recently, a federal judge threw out a case brought by the families of 2 men who allegedly committed suicide there, arguing that there is a cover-up going on within the Pentagon. Who knows what's really going on in Gitmo? The prison projects a dark shadow across our nation, and the rest of the world sees it too. We want to restore some credibility. It's time for Republicans to get out of the way and let President Obama shut down Gitmo. Just like what Governor Scott Walker in Wisconsin is experiencing, Governor John Kasich in Ohio is feeling the heat from the people for his controversial union-busting efforts. Back in March, Kasich passed a Walker-style bill that strips a bunch of rights from public union workers. According to a new poll, overwhelming majorities in the state disapprove of Kasich's anti-union law, and just as many people think his budget proposal that cuts education funding and safety net programs for the poor are unfair. Currently, several progressive groups are collecting signatures to put a repeal of Kasich's anti-union law on the next ballot so Ohioans can vote against it. There's also a movement underway to recall Kasich, just like how Walker will likely face a recall at the beginning of next year. We need to teach these right-wingers a lesson. When they screw the working class, they're out of their jobs. When they screw the working class out of their jobs, that their jobs are in danger as well. Police officers in Pima County, Arizona, are facing tough questions. A 26-year-old former Marine, Jose Guarena, was shot more than 60 times last week during a SWAT team raid of his home. Guarena was awakened early in the morning by a man outside his window. He grabbed his gun to investigate, and that's when the SWAT team rushed in and fired more than 70 shots at him. It's been a week since the shooting, and police have yet to release any details about the warrant or why they were at Guarena's house in the first place. To make matters worse, Guarena's wife was also on the scene. She desperately called 911 to get help for her husband, who was given the runaround by 911 dispatchers, who spent nearly 10 minutes asking her questions about the police raid rather than sending an ambulance. Just another symptom of the militarization of our nation's police force. After all, the military-industrial complex needs new customers. Why not local police departments? Dominique Strauss-Kahn resigned today as head of the IMF, while behind bars awaiting his next court date on a rape charge. Strauss-Kahn professed his innocence in the resignation letter and says he feels compelled to step down to protect the reputation of the IMF. Meanwhile, in France, where Strauss-Kahn was likely to become the next French president, a new poll shows 60% of French respondents think that Strauss-Kahn was framed by operatives within the Sarkozy government who felt threatened by a possible Strauss-Kahn bid for the presidency. French newspaper recently published comments Strauss-Kahn made last month, fearing that Sarkozy's people may pay a woman to claim he raped her. On the other hand, other women have come forward and said that he did. Crazy alert. Stick to your day job. Secret Service is catching some flack after a controversial tweet against Fox News yesterday. Tweet read, have to monitor Fox for a story, can't deal with the blathering. Seconds later, the tweet went up. After it went up, it was promptly deleted, but not before many of the 20,000 followers of the Secret Service on Twitter had retweeted the message. Secret Service did apologize for the tweet, saying, tweet did not reflect the official views of the U.S. Secret Service and was immediately removed. Also removed the user handling the Twitter account, an account that's only 9 days old. Why does the Secret Service have a Twitter account? And should somebody be worried if the Secret Service is following them on Twitter? And that's the way it is today, Thursday, May 19th, 2011. I'm Thom Hartmann on the news.